table. The perfect assistant, Hughes, Dr. Ramsay Gunston's shadow and alter ego. The calm, good sense of all the answers Griff's father had marshaled had only added to the humiliation and disappointment of that scene. Every one of Griff's own points demolished without any real understanding of how he felt, what he wanted to do. Run away, little boy, and play. Find some way to amuse yourself. That was about the sum and substance of Dr. Gunston's reply. But Griff wanted his own life, to follow the plans he had been making for years. Did his father believe that he had existed in a sort of vacuum, growing no older, doing no thinking for himself for the past 5 years? True, his father did not know him well. How could he? Ramsay Gunston had been out in the East Indies chasing fish all over the place, writing scientific papers that might be in an obtuse code as far as his son was concerned. What did Griff care about the diseases of fish? Fish! He couldn't be less interested. His father had turned up again just after Griff had graduated from Emsley, swept him off to this West Indies salt pot as if his son had no right to a life of his own at all, and settled in for another season of prying into stinking messes of seaweed, of analyzing scum. Oh, he supposed it was important. At least some of the magazines and papers back home had said that it was. This study of the Red Plague, of the strange new death in southern waters that had appeared without warning a season ago and was making great inroads in the profits of the fishing industry, sending the dead bodies of fish floating ashore by the millions along the lower coast of the United States and among the West Indies. Dad's job was backed by both the American and the British governments. He'd been brought halfway around the world to do it. But there wasn't one small piece of it his son could help with. And Dr. Gunston had the perfect Hughes always at his elbow, making Griff's first fumbling but honest attempts to help seem so childish that the younger Gunston soon stopped trying. So why should he be chained here, on an island even tourists did not visit, so far off the shipping lanes that the island queen was their only link with civilization when she made her bi-weekly trip to Santa Maria? And what was Santa Maria, in spite of its government house and port for freighters, but a dirty fly speck on some out-of-date charts? Let him go home and try out for the academy. For a moment, Griff saw not the blue sea, but the blue sky. Jets, those were the future, not fish. He didn't know one fish from another, and had no desire to be formally introduced either. But there Griff was belittling his own curiosity, a curiosity that he had no intention of admitting to either of the 2 men now at work in the building behind him. His diving adventures along the reef during the past few weeks, his companionship with Christopher Waite, the mate of the Queen, had taught him more than he realized about the finned and shelled inhabitants of the bay, including some lore that might have surprised Dr. Gunston. But Griff took a perverse and childish delight in keeping to himself the results of his own underwater explorations. After all, both Dad and Hughes must have forgotten more than he would ever know. Why babble about such kindergarten stuff to them? He wanted to get away. If he didn't, he had a vague fear that he might fall under the same spell that doomed Carterstown, that inertia that had sapped the energy of the islanders since the closing of the salt works. They fished. They planted a few grains of corn, melon seeds, some garden truck in those tiny potholes of real soil, to be found at such intervals that a small garden patch might cover several acres. They caught conch and dried them to sell in Santa Maria for the only cash they ever saw. But no one worked regularly or cared much about the future. Griff, some of his hot resentment cooled by the press of the wind against his sun-browned body,